You got the news for us?
Yes, I do. The top story of the day, as you have all probably heard, after months of touting the impending release of new blockbuster information on accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, the Justice Department announced in a memo Monday that there was no evidence he kept a client list or was murdered. The Justice Department also does not plan to release any new documents in the matter, it said Monday. The admission reneges on promises from President Donald Trump, who previously spoke about releasing more governmental files on the disgraced financier, as we go against years of conspiracy theories pushed by the right wing. The systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. The unsigned memo states there was no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Axios was first to report details of the DOJ and FBI's decision. The department has also released 10 hours of jailhouse security footage that shows no one entered Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell on the day he died by self-unaliving. Right-wing media figures have for years suggested that the government is hiding secrets related to Epstein, who died by self-unaliving in 2019, while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. Some of those individuals breathlessly pushed the theory that Epstein kept a quote client list as blackmail against powerful figures who helped commit similar crimes. That's our story here. No. Let's unpack this. Do you guys think that there's a client list or no?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I think that if there was a client list, the reason it's not being released is pretty obvious because there's a lot of really powerful people on it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because let's assume there's a client list, right? Um, like flight logs, maybe public stuff like that, or at least stuff that's they have records for. But let's assume there's a client list. There's a, I mean, there is a, I mean, if he had a client list, he had a vault. He was keeping a lot of shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the FBI would have had to pull something from that. All of that, well, all of that wouldn't be, you know, public record. It's not protected, really, you know.
Yeah.
So could you like could someone file a freedom of information request on it? Maybe like that would be a good legal question because the standard really is would a jury find it reasonable that this was national security related? And the answer to that is kinda. I mean, if like Bill Clinton was on it, or I mean, apparently no one's on it because Trump said there was no one on it, or Trump was on it, whatever, then it might be a national security risk because you have the president that, you now know that they have leverage over them. And who has control of that
Mm-hmm.
leverage? I don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't think the flight logs would have been released with people's name on it if that was the case.
Right.
We wouldn't see that either. So I don't think it does. I think there's probably more to the story, and there's a lot more information we don't know. But I don't think there's a client
So
list.
if that is the case and there is more to it that we don't know, would you suggest that Pam Bondi recuse herself from this investigation?
Yeah, clearly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
yeah,
I think there's something
yeah.
suspicious of the fact that every name associated with it was redacted.
Yeah. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't exist. So was it a lie or is it not a lie? I'm so wildly confused. If you are
Well,
debating,
she
stay in the
claimed that
request
it
for a
was
minute.
true, that there was a list
I
waiting on her
know.
desk months ago.
No, they said they released it. They
Right?
released it, and it was all
Mm-hmm.
redacted. So the list, he's going to redact a list that doesn't exist. This is the most comedic. I mean, it really is idiocracy. Really is idiocracy. I'm gonna take down the dam that does not exist. So there's that. Yeah.
Josh?
I don't know. Josh, thoughts?
I don't know how there couldn't be a list. I don't know how there couldn't be some form of blackmail. You don't get to be as successful and powerful as as Epstein was without the aid and help of other powerful people. Like he owned a freaking island like yeah, okay, he did real estate investments, but the people that visited that island, to not keep blackmail on them would be stupid on his part. I'm just trying to think like a villain here, right? We know what's the FBI guy? We know he did all that shit his
Patel?
entire career. No, no. J. Edgar Hoover. We know Hoover
Oh,
did the exact same thing.
yeah.
So for him to like be that involved in something that horrible and not have his back covered, I think would be silly on Epstein's part. On top of that, how did they get Maxwell? If there's no list, how did they get Maxwell?
I guess on a co-conspirator
Was that
charge
part of
here.
it? Yeah, I don't know that would have been part of the case. Is the problem?
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's definitely evidence. We don't have the Diddy stuff either. So
No, like
there's
we know
definitely evidence
we know
out there.
Prince Andrew was part of that,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
Maxwell testified to that. So I don't know, man. I think there has to be a list. I think it'd be, I think it's implausible that there isn't. Honestly,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
he
I'm
would use that.
suspicious.
He would, yeah, very.
I can buy
suspicious.
that he unalived himself if that's what the footage reflects, but
I
I don't
think he
buy that he
unalived
didn't have a
himself.
list. Yeah.
I definitely think he unalived himself.
Mm-hmm.
But the list, yeah, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Otherwise, he's just a standout guy apparently who respected everybody's privacy.
Holy smokes,
he
Amanda!
never-
Thank you
was
so
he
much for the
convicted?
Cash App.
Was he
That's
convicted?
true.
Biden's not on it though. Neither is Hunter Biden. It
Yeah,
is
so
funny.
that can be ruled
It is
out.
funny. It is funny the shame that follows, like other like normal people, and with Mega, it just does not exist. It just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist. So, yeah, Nutcracker, appreciate it. Thank you for the 5. True love is finishing each other's sentences. Ghislaine Maxwell must have really loved Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, to spend what 22 years doing time for him.
That's so nice of her.
Yeah, I think. Anybody have anything else about that?
No, I'm ready for the next
I think we
story.
covered it.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, here we have Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday presented President Trump with a letter nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize after Trump pushed for a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Netanyahu visited the White House on Monday, marking the first face-to-face meeting with Trump since the president ordered U.S. strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities, a decision made in coordination with Israel's bombing of key Iranian nuclear sites. The prime minister pulled out a letter during a dinner with Trump and presented it to the president. The president has already realized a great opportunity. He forged the Abraham Accords. He's forging peace as we speak in one country and one region after another, Netanyahu said. So I want to present you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved. This I didn't know, Trump said as he took the letter. Wow, thank you very much. Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Yes, it's like getting a gold star from Hitler. Hitler's bonus points, right? You really don't want a prize nominated by a genocidal maniac. I don't know how that's a high honor.
Here's your Pink Triangle Award.
Thanks. Gee, thanks, Hitler. Yeah. I
Appreciate
fail to
it.
see how anybody at the committee is taking this seriously. Where are they? Denmark, Norway? I can't remember where they're based. But this is following a bombing campaign. This is used to reward him for bombs dropped in an Iranian nuclear site as a peacekeeping strategy. There is no ceasefire currently.
Yeah.
Nothing has been drawn down within that regard. If anything, it's being amped up. I think Sweden. But I don't see in any way, shape, or form that they would actually vote in this measure. I'd be surprised if they did, but this hardly seems justifiable for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like all for show. Like, this is the most like, would it be projection? I don't know. It's just incredibly
Ironic.
like if you robbed a bank and then tipped the officers for arresting you, Like, here you go. Oh yeah.
What a standout guy.
I mean, it's
He's
like
just like
who's
Jeffrey Epstein.
It really is just for show. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine what an absolute maniac you have to believe? Like what? Like literally, just how clueless you have to be as a human being to see that and go, Trump got a peace prize. You would have to be what? I mean, literally, just eating soup through a straw. Like you're just not a bright person,
Right.
Like and yeah, I is painfully stupid, painfully. But we do know that it didn't actually do anything. The bombing didn't. It postponed
Nope.
them for a few months. And if I had a suspicion of what's going to happen, is that there is going to be a period of normalcy for a little bit. And then when we get closer to back to status, which is Iran is now doing, they're going to authorize more. They're going to try and stop this, but Iran is inevitably, they've already been working on this for a long time. So I think the new facility that they have, or the existing one, it'll be mostly fine, and they'll continue their work. And then they're probably going to use it to justify war.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
all out
getting
war.
awfully complacent right now, thinking that this is a cushy ending for all that's transpired. It's not. I'd say, if anything, it's a catalyst right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Hitler.
Bonus points. Hitler's wacky
Yeah.
bucks. Josh, you
Yeah.
got
Here you
anything?
go. Get yourself a snow cone.
No, I'm all right.
All right.
All right.
Next story here. At least 14 countries' imports are set to face steep blanket tariffs starting August 1st, President Trump revealed Monday. The president, in a series of social media posts, shared screenshots of form letters dictating new tariff rates to the leaders of Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Kazakhstan, South Korea, Laos, and Myanmar. Later in the day, he shared another set of 7 letters to the leaders of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Never heard of that country. Uh, Tunisia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Serbia, Cambodia, and Thailand, or Thailand as he calls it. Goods imported to the U.S. from Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Kazakhstan, and Tunisia are now set to face 25% tariffs, according to the letters Trump posted. South African and Bosnian goods will be subject to 30% U.S. tariffs, and imports from Indonesia will be hit with a 32% excise duty. Bangladesh and Serbia are both at 35%, while Cambodia and Thailand are set for 36% tariff rates, the president's letter said. Imports from Laos and Myanmar will face 40% duty, according to the letters Trump posted on Truth Social showed. The letters Trump signed add that the U.S. will perhaps consider adjusting the new tariff rates, TACO, depending on our relationship with your country. The letters are the first to be sent before Wednesday, the day his so called reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries were scheduled to snap back to the higher levels he had announced in early April. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt said even more letters will be sent out in the coming days. Later Monday afternoon, Trump signed an executive order delaying the Wednesday tariff deadline until August 1st. The order says Trump made that decision based on additional information and recommendation from various senior officials. So we're back to tariffs? Not on tariffs?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because like I constantly have people in my comment section or my live that go, "What happened to the stock market crash?" Number one, I never made any illusions about when a stock market crash would happen. I said if Trump's policies went into place within the year. That never happened. So I don't know why look, Trump reversed his own policies and now you're
Mm-hmm.
praising him for it and demonizing people that are like, "Ah." So that's stupid. Yeah, these are going to have negative consequences. These tariffs are completely stupid. These guys think that, what is it, $88 billion from tariffs is a significant amount of money. It's not, but it's just another tax. It just gave away. How many more times would that be? Let's do the math real quick. One second. They gave away $4 trillion. I can't even put $4 trillion in the thing. Anyways, it would be a lot. It would
Yep.
be an insane amount. Of times more that they gave away in tax breaks than they actually got in tax from the actual taxes from the tariffs. And This isn't a good idea. Inevitably, it's going to cause hardship. Republicans are cheering on paying more money for stuff, which is crazy to me because they spent how many years with Biden complaining. And yeah, we'll see economic downturn. It'll probably be a long-winded one. Won't be particularly fast. And yeah,
Oh, we got another story here. This just came in a moment ago. U.S. will try to deport Abrego Garcia before his trial, the Justice Department attorney has said. How is this constitutional? Was that not what the argument was? Was that he was denied a trial to deport, and now they're doing it before his next trial? I'm a little bit confused here. But let's unpack this. Computer's slow right now. Give me a moment. Needed to scroll down. U.S. government would initiate deportation proceedings against Kilmar Abrego Garcia if he's released from jail before he stands trial on human smuggling charges in Tennessee. A Justice Department attorney told a federal judge in Maryland on Monday. The disclosure by U.S. Lawyer Jonathan Guyon contradicts statements by spokespeople for the Department of Justice and the White House, who said last month that Abrego Garcia would stand trial and possibly spend time in an American prison before the government moves to deport him. Guyon made the revelation during a federal court hearing in Maryland, where Abrego Garcia's American wife is suing the Trump administration over his mistaken deportation in March and trying to prevent him from being expelled again. Guyon said U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement would detain Abrego Garcia once he's released from jail and send him to a third country that isn't his native El Salvador. However, Guyon said he didn't know which country that would be. This is sickening and shows that they're not in any way, shape, or form interested in the due process rights for migrants in America.
yeah. They I've seen a lot of videos where like he didn't use due process when he came here. Due process isn't for us to use. It's not due process.
Right.
So yeah, but frequently what they're trying to do is test bounds. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to push the envelope as far as they can possibly get it, and there's not a lot of restraint and not a lot of things that can stop it. If it ends up in a court that's favorable to them, they get a favorable decision. If it doesn't, nothing happens. They try again later. It's been a colossal failure, all things considered. And the unfortunate part, and you should look out for this because this is what they're going to attack next. We've already started seeing it. They're going to attack one of the judges, and they're going to attack that structure as much as possible. They're going to turn tide on the judges. We've already seen it happening. But they want to put pressure to get favorable ones, and we're going to slowly watch them start undermining the rule of law in various different ways. So it could get really crazy and chaotic. I would just keep an open mind because that's going to happen. That's the next move. That's the only next move for them. They have to do that, or they're
And
going
what
to
it
fail.
boils down
They're going to
to,
after people. Yeah.
right. The administration fundamentally doesn't believe or accept the premise of a separation of powers. They think that the executive has control over the judiciary and should be able to force them into these kinds of political cases in movements that advance their agenda. Them using this this kind of leverage and political pressure to undermine his due process, his habeas corpus, is despicable and sets a terrible precedent, not just for migrants, but for U.S. citizens. He's already said he wants to deport U.S. citizens, and now that could lead to a precedent where they're denied due process as well, that they're deported to a random country just based on whatever he feels of the day.
And then they can be deported to countries they're not even from.
Right.
So they're giving them a lot of leeway. They're giving them a lot of leeway.
What happens in those
and-
countries though?
Yeah.
Like when they go
With
to the
what?
third party countries, are they automatically put in prison, or are they just, hey, now you're
I don't know.
an El Salvadorian in Syria? What, like,
Presumably a prison.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. It's creating an awful standard here internationally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happens. Jaden got the next
Two
one.
more stories here. Yep. President Trump said Monday that the U.S. will have to send more weapons to Ukraine, just days after ordering a pause in critical weapons deliveries in Kyiv, Taco. The comments by Trump appeared to be an abrupt change in posture after the Pentagon announced last week that it would hold back delivering to Ukraine some air defense missiles, precision guided artillery, and other weapons because of what U.S. officials said were concerns that stockpiles have declined too much. We have to, Trump said. They have been able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. We're going to send some more weapons, defensive weapons primarily. The pause had come at a difficult moment for Ukraine, which has faced increasing and more complex air barrages from Russia during the more than 3 year long war. Russian attacks on Ukraine killed more than 11 citizens and injured more than 80 others, including several children, officials said Monday. The move last week to abruptly pause shipments of Patriot missiles, precision guided uh, GMLRS, Hellfire missiles, and howitzer rounds and weaponry took Ukrainian officials and other allies by surprise. The Pentagon did not immediately respond to requests for comment Monday on whether the paused weapon shipments to Ukraine would resume. So it seems as though not only is MAGA not getting the Epstein list, but also we're not getting a pause on weapons to Ukraine. Kind of a catch-22 when you think about it, you know.
Why don't we get an Epstein list?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jaden.
No, that's all. It's just you got to take the good with the bad, I suppose. Good for Ukraine that they're getting weapons sent to them and continuing on their efforts to maintain their sovereignty. But, you know, in MAGA world, they voted against aid to Ukraine. They voted for the release of the Epstein list, and they're not getting either one. So I can accept that.
Yeah. Now we don't
It's
get to
fine
know
by
about
me.
Hunter Biden, and also Hunter Biden gets to. Thought I had a joke there. I didn't. I was gonna make a joke about Hunter Biden being in Ukraine. I was like, I can't do it. I tried. Anyway, yeah, it is. I
Understandable.
mean, this is the only logical conclusion here is that Trump was gonna have to fund Ukraine. We talked about it. That's the only logical conclusion. There is way too much pressure against the United States. Everybody likes to walk around like the United States is like the only country in the world, and the reality is there's a lot of pressure from European
Hmm.
countries that want Ukraine to get funded. Um, and it's the only move. It's the only move that you can make. The geopolitical situation is as such. Trump said he would end the war. The war has not ended. The war has not ended. He's actually prolonged it, which is crazy. If he had come in and take Biden's stance and said, nope, we're going to keep funding him, we're going to keep sending him over stuff,
Yep.
it made it a lot harder for Russia. If that was like the Stonewall, we are going to do this. Russia's only plan was hope Trump wins and hope he undermines the war effort, and he did. Where it goes from here, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know which way he's going to waver. He just sort of picks a position every day. He picks a new position. So, yeah.
Hmm. And last story here. The IRS said on Monday that churches and other houses of worship can endorse political candidates to their congregations, carving out an exemption in a decades old ban on political activity by tax exempt nonprofits. The agency made that statement in a court filing intended to settle a lawsuit filed by two Texas churches and an association with Christian broadcasters. Plaintiffs that sued the IRS had previously asked a federal court in Texas to create an even broader exemption to rule that all nonprofits, religious and secular, were free to endorse candidates to their members. That would have erased a bedrock idea of American nonprofit law that tax exempt groups cannot be used as tools for any campaign. Instead, the IRS agreed to a narrower carve out, one that experts in nonprofit law said would sharply increase politicking in churches, even though it mainly seemed to formalize what already seemed to be the agency's unspoken policy. The agency said that if a house of worship endorsed a candidate to its congregants, the IRS would view that not as campaigning, but as a private matter, like a family discussion concerning candidates. Thus, communications from a house of worship to its congregation in connection with religious services through its usual channels of communication on matters of faith do not run afoul of the Johnson Amendment as previously interpreted, the agency said in a motion filed jointly with the plaintiffs. The ban on campaigning by nonprofits is named after former President Lyndon B. Johnson, who introduced it as a senator in 1954. President Trump has repeatedly called for its repeal. In the filing, the IRS and the plaintiffs asked a federal judge to enter an order barring the Trump administration and any that came after it from enforcing the ban against the groups that sued. The IRS did not respond to comment for comment on Monday evening. A lawyer for the plaintiffs declined to comment as well.
Well,
Well, that sucks.
yeah.
Well, it's
The thing here,
so. Does
I
that
don't
mean
really know
Greg
what to
Locke
say.
gets? Does Greg
Yeah,
Locke
what?
get his tax exemption back?
I don't know.
Like, yeah. The thing here really is like, the I mean these yeah. I'm gonna be real. Churches in the United States, they're kind of shady and shifty. Uh sure, some of them are churches. They do good stuff for the community, but there's the mega churches out there that abuse the system. Like during COVID, mega churches got $7 billion. What the fuck mean why are we
What do
giving
they
them
need them
tax
for?
dollars?
It's not like they're housing
I
anybody.
know, and it's I don't know. It's a ridiculous proposition here. Churches endorse. I mean, this is like the worst timeline. Churches endorsing Trump, crypto, like betting on the election. It's awful. Like I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the thing. I do understand. Like church is just it's icky. You're already a nonprofit. Like it's just icky. You don't stand for. There's no politic. Like what you're gonna have. I don't understand. You're gonna have politics in God. It doesn't make any sense. You can be religious and be on either side. If you're like a trade union, you're supposed to represent your workers. If you're a church, though, you're just representing God. God doesn't have a
Mm-hmm.
voice in politics. He's not supposed to. That's the whole, part of the system.
God can't
You
vote.
get the tax exempt status, walk away from it. You get the tax exempt status, just live with it. I don't know why you need to be running around being like Trump, Trump, Trump. So that's supposed to be God. Pretty soon we're gonna see Jesus kneeling
No.
to Trump in front of churches on every
We already
post. It's
do.
gonna be weird. Oh yeah,
We already do. Or
we
Trump
already
with
do.
3 legs kneeling because AI can't quite figure out his girth.
AI is not there yet.
This really does open up another conversation here about the idea that Republicans are the party of Christ and that they embody Christian values. What I don't understand is that they frequently say that we need to be a more Christian nation and that the laws ought to reflect that. Mind you, Jesus healed the sick and taught for free, and they're against that. They're against laws that would support free healthcare and teaching children for free. I'm kind of curious as to why that is, and whether or not Jesus would approve of said laws. If that is the most Jesus idea is the Republican platform, what would he say if he
I'm
was
gonna
here
be
today?
I'm gonna be real with you, Jaden. If Jesus was
Hmm.
here today and saw what's happening in America and with the churches, he would ask to be crucified again.
You say
it's
that.
it's
Where's my
it's
thorns?
that bad. Oh, fuck, send me back.
Jesus
Send
was
me
the
back.
original socialist, and I
He
stand
was,
by that.
yeah.
He was
Yeah,
the
he was.
OG socialist for sure.
Yeah. And not a chance
Yeah.
he would be able to get across the border.
He would crawl back into that fucking tomb
Yeah.
and stay there.
He was from
Yeah.
what? Palestine? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Palestinian.
Jerusalem. It was Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
What?
I can't
What?
remember.
Yeah. What's that?
But, if he were to
What?
come
Like,
across
he's
on
like
a
he like
donkey,
He was from Bethlehem.
But-
Jesus of Nazareth, guys.
Bethlehem.
Jiminy Christmas.
Sorry.
I'm not
I
even
forgot.
religious. Read your
I was
fucking
thinking. I was
Bibles.
thinking of the
thought
joke.
they
Hold on. I was
renamed
thinking
him.
of the joke. No, I was trying to answer that and think of the joke. Hold on. Oh yeah, yeah. Can you imagine Jesus walks out into America and just like, I died for this? He would lose it. Lose it. Absolutely go crazy. Do we have anything left?
that's the news.
All right, we'll call it.